Hey, Sully, how are you today?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes. I know you're kind of your star has brightened again, from last week. And tell us about that. A documentary about your life in sports was recently played at Lavoie Theater out there in Millville.
Well, it was a terrific reunion of a lot of former players and coaches, and as you guys know, following team sports, when you follow team sports or involved with team sports, it's not a one-man show. It's a whole team effort, and we've been fortunate over the years. The years I was in Millville, 37 years altogether, 28 in football and 20 some in baseball. Had some great players, so we had great players, and we had a stable coaching staff, many of whom were with me the entire time that I coached. So, because of that, we had a lot of success. But it was a fun night to have everybody together. Kind of humbling to see, the SNJ Today folks did a wonderful job of putting the documentary together. I don't know how many hours and hours upon film that they did, but then editing it down to 45-minute documentary was pretty neat, but very humbling.
Now, was that just a one-time showing, or is that going to be there more showings of that or anything, or was that just a one-time deal?
I don't think it's going to go to the big screen at all, Sully. but I think and it won't be. I'm sure at the Levoy again, the outstanding theater that we have in the city of Millville. But I think SNJ Today has. I've gotten that question a lot from people who couldn't make it.
Right.
Want to see it. And I think they, their DVDs at snjtoday.com as available, and probably at some point are going to, have the documentary available on their website.
Nice. So what's it like having a movie made about you?
Well, as I said from the start, it's humbling. I think the absolute best part of the evening was having folks come from, we had former players come up from Georgia. It was a nice weekend,
wow,
too, because, having Thanksgiving and people coming around, for their family. I'm not sure that all of them came just for me, so they're coming up for a turkey dinner with their family. But it was nice to have them, those former players come around and kind of reminisce about the days going by.
Talking with former Millville coach Tony Surace, who was recently honored with a documentary about his life in coaching. And, Coach, just talking to my producer, Cole Raring, who's a former football player at Mainland, and we were kind of going, I didn't play high school football, so I don't really have any frame of reference for the Thanksgiving game. But take us inside that Vineland-Millville rivalry a little bit and what it means to those players on that day and the fans. I mean, it's really one of the best rivalries in the nation when you're talking about high school football.
It's an incredible rivalry. When I first came to Millville as an assistant from Pennsylvania, didn't have a real, unless you're involved with it, or maybe even in the area, you have a little appreciation. But coming from Pennsylvania, you hear about it. And the first couple of games, as I was an assistant, I could get the feel of how important it was to the team. But let me just share this with you. In 1972, my first year as a head coach, we won the conference title, a huge accomplishment. We had been down for several years and won the conference title in our eighth game. Back then we played 9 games, no playoffs. So the 8th game of the year, we clinched the conference title. We're going to play Vineland on Thanksgiving. And I did a very bad job of having our kids prepared. Our kids were still excited about getting measured for conference jackets, right? We lose 6-0 to a team we really should have beaten. They were a good team, but they weren't as good as us. They weren't conference champs. But we didn't show up. We lost 6-0. Well, let me tell you, the folks in town, they weren't happy.
They wanted you fired? They wanted you fired a week after you won the conference?
Actually, if they didn't give me another year or two, I'd have been in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it means so much to these towns, and the players especially. I got a real feel for that this year, a couple days ago when I was out at Ocean City, and just seeing the seniors. They won a really exciting game over Pleasantville, and these guys just didn't want to leave the field. I mean, it was a good 25, 30 minutes. They're still out there taking pictures with their folks and kind of seeing some of the guys that had graduated last year. So it's hard to walk off that field for the last time, I'm sure, for these guys.
Oh, no question. I mean, that's such an emotional game. You know, as you said, the seniors are walking off for the last time. The season comes to an end generally, as you said, other than some very fortunate teams. Last year, Millville was fortunate to go to the state finals and had a game after that to look forward to, even though, you know, I'm sure you recall, Vineland thumped us pretty good last year.
Yeah.
And but the kids in Millville had at least another game to look forward to. This year, they don't have that. So hey, listen, I had leftovers yesterday. They were still lousy. You know, Thanksgiving dinner, not good in Millville, no matter whether you're coaching or playing or a fan.
Exactly. We're talking with Coach Tony Surace, coached Millville football and baseball for a couple of decades, and really one of the names that's synonymous with South Jersey football. And what's that like, Coach? When you first started coaching, I'm sure you never thought, "Wow, my name's going to be associated with South Jersey football in 30 years, 40 years."
No, you know, you don't. One of the fortunate things I did when I first started coaching was befriended a legendary coach, John Barbos, who back in the 50s, was the man in New Jersey football. And John and I had many similarities, as it turned out. He was from Pennsylvania, I was, and so on and so forth. But as John and I would would talk, players would come up to him from back in those days. Now, this is in the 70s and 80s when I, would be with John and his former players and would remember those days. And now it's kind of, now I've kind of reached that age where, you're looking back at a great opportunity to, as I said, work with some great young people. And as you see these people go on, these young men go on into their careers, and they're good people, they're good husbands, good fathers. That really is satisfying as a person who works in education and tries to, see these young guys develop into what they are today.
Now, Tony, I get a good chance to get to know a lot of these coaches, covering their teams for a couple of years now, and you get to see them post-game, and you get to see the wives come up with the little kids in tow, and it becomes a family thing after these games. And really one of the neat things about high school football is that kind of interaction after the game. And I'm sure, given that it's Thanksgiving weekend, I'm sure you want to give a lot of thanks to your wife. I don't think we really appreciate what these women do for the coaches. It's not easy being a wife of a high school coach. I mean, the high school coach you're spending a lot of hours with these boys and just a lot of, cold leftover dinners, all that kind of stuff. So talk a little bit about that relationship and how much that means to you as a coach to have that support at home.
Well, no doubt. My wife and I are celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary today.
Really?
So
awesome.
Yeah. So I said, listen, I'm going to be on the radio for a few minutes this morning. But, I think, my two boys are head football coaches in college.
Right.
They grew up playing here in Millville. So it's been a family affair, to say the least. My late brother-in-law played professional football with a little bit cup of coffee with the Eagles back in the early 70s and played minor league football with the Pottstown Firebirds. So our whole family has been, just been football and baseball oriented. So it kind of grew into it. But my wife, as I said in the documentary, the first I was involved in sports, both as a coach then as an AD, for 37 years in Millville. So those 37 years, even as the kids were older, my wife really took all the responsibilities. But paybacks are, what? So she's paying me back now. I'm kind of in charge now of a lot of things I didn't have to do before, like cut the grass, and wash the house, and all the things she did.
Well, Tony, on the day of your 50th anniversary, this is a day you definitely don't want to drop the ball, man. Make sure you're prepared. I hope you got something nice planned for this evening.
Well, we're going to have something nice planned in January. We're going to go to Hawaii.
Oh, wow, awesome.
She'll have a nice vacation. We'll have a very nice vacation together. I'll tell you this too. We got married when I was in college, and that year, our team, we went for 2 consecutive years to the Tangerine Bowl. I went to Westchester, and our team was selected to play in the Tangerine Bowl, and they gave the wives a trip and we got married over Thanksgiving, thinking that would be a good weekend to get married. So as soon as we got married, came back, that was our honeymoon. I took her to the Tangerine Bowl in Florida, so she knew what football was all about.
She knew what she was in for then, right?
Exactly.
Great stuff, Tony, man. Unfortunately, we're up against the break. Got to let you go, but enjoy your weekend. Tell your wife we said hello, and at least take her out to a nice dinner. Come on, man. Let's step up to the plate here.
Right after the Iron Bowl, or maybe we'll get takeout. Get football back. Hey, listen, I want to shout out to you guys. I listen to the show almost every week.
We appreciate it, man.
The shout outs to the high school kids and coaches, and it's just and all the sports. It's just a great thing that you guys do with the magazine, and so keep up the great work.
We're trying, Coach. We appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes. Always enjoy it.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Thanks, man. Coach Tony Surace, former Millville football and baseball coach. Great guy to talk to about high school sports. So we